When I was younger, I always loved to play with Legos. Even now, I wouldn't pass up an opportunity to sit in my room with just me and my imagination. I found endless opportunities to test my engineering skills and my ingenuity, even at a young age. I had found it was a wonderful way to pass the time, building, taking apart, and building again. It was obvious to me that making things was fun, but it wasn't until we were told to research a topic that interested us that I found a problem. Our infrastructure is hurting the environment, and even more, it is hurting us and our communities. But first, what is infrastructure? Infrastructure is the underlying fundamental system of buildings, roads, and bridges that make up America. Now I know that Legos are much different than actual infrastructure. The infrastructure hadn't interested me much until my mother told me a very tragic story. In 2007, the I-35 West Bridge in Minnesota received a rating of fracture critical, meaning that the failure of a crucial component could lead to the collapse of the bridge. Sadly, during rush hour, the bridge collapsed, killing 13 people and injuring 145 others. This prompted states around the US to rush to examine and begin repairs on their own bridges. Even the Oregon City Arch Bridge was no exception. It had gone without any major renovation for 98 years. But after the bridge collapsed in Minnesota, Oregon City hunkered down and made the decision to make repairs on this long-standing bridge. That's when it hit me. People shouldn't have to die in order for someone to repair a bridge. But the I-35 West Bridge was only the tip of the iceberg. As I began to research this topic more, I found staggering data about the state of our country's infrastructure. The Natural Resources Defense Council reported that, quote, of the United States' more than 600,000 bridges, almost 4 in 10 are at least 50 years old, and 9.1% were structurally deficient in 2016. Some 188 million trips are made across these deficient bridges each day, unquote. If you do some quick math, the number of structurally deficient bridges is roughly 65,934. This is just one of the many problems we face each day. It could be anything from underfunded alternative transportation to non-resilient buildings. The obstacle is that our infrastructure can and will always be a problem. But that is not the half of it. The way we build our infrastructure not only harms the environment, whether that be from construction sites, whose runoff can include things such as volatile organic compounds, paints, glues, diesel, oils, and even cement. Even after construction has occurred, there are many pollutants that are introduced to the environment. Because you are changing the landscape when you're constructing something, soil erosion can occur. This soil will make its way down to natural rivers and streams, causing them to become turbid and restricting the sunlight in those areas, causing massive harm to the aquatic life and the surrounding ecosystems. The chemicals and other pollutants also end up in the aquatic ecosystems, poisoning the creatures and any animal that would drink from it. These are all very significant problems, but there's a much larger, much more substantial problem. Our infrastructure is not built around people. It is centered around progress. This means that instead of constructing things that would bring people together, we are instead plastering concrete over neighborhoods and steamrolling over environmental standards. In the past, the environment was not something to consider. But now we must change how we build and maintain our buildings, roads, and bridges. Other thing we are able to do is to renovate our old infrastructure, and not only make it environmentally centered by, for instance, installing solar panels on the roof of an old building, but also making it accessible to all. This could mean making a building handicap accessible and putting in places for people to charge their electric cars and store their bikes. These ideas can be implemented by an individual, but they must do their part in order for this to become a reality. They are able to influence the government in many ways also. Because individuals cannot vote for the measures that would be necessary for a law or regulation to be passed, what they can do is vote for officials that share their view, and they can vote for measures that would require buildings to meet certain criteria in order for them to be considered a green building. These things can include rainwater management, construction activity pollution prevention, bicycle facilities, and electric vehicles, just to name a few. You can contact your representative via email or letter and ask them to support these ideas. You can also support an organization that supports these ideas. The group that has interested me the most is the United States Green Building Council. The USGBC is an organization that evaluates buildings based on the qualifications that I mentioned before, among other factors, each earning the building a certain amount of credits. If a building earns enough of these credits, they can be a certified green building. If a building earns more of these credits, they can be certified as silver, gold, or platinum. Lastly, there are things that you can do. Recently in Portland, the Tilikum Bridge has been constructed. This bridge is focused on providing an alternative to driving because it is a bridge that only allows pedestrians an alternative transportation. It gives a way for the Metropolitan MAX system to go across the Willamette River too. This is an excellent example of the state government providing people with the opportunity to make greener transportation choices. And by doing this, they are giving people the tools to help the environment. In the end, it is important for people to realize that infrastructure is vital for the transportation of goods, generating jobs, and supporting the economy. But it needs to be built around the people it serves. Not only is this better for us, but it is beneficial to the environment. Well, LEGO introduced me to the importance of a solid foundation in infrastructure. It also showed me how we can take something old and revitalize it. Moving forward, we need to make the change from progress to people. Thank you.